It was a story that shocked the world. A young mother kills her child because he interrupted her online gaming. Baby Dylan was just 3 months old. His mother, 22-year-old Alex Tobias, claimed it was an accident, but she was found guilty of second-degree murder. People were outraged when they read, "Mom kills child over Facebook game." But is that tabloid headline the real story, or is there more to it? Sitting down with Alex in the Lowell Correctional Institute in Florida, I'm feeling a little emotional. I'm a mom, and this is the first time I've faced a mother who killed her child. How can you reach that point, and how on earth can you cope with it? That's what I'm hoping Alex Tobias can tell me. I'm Candice DeLong. As an FBI agent, I worked on the front line for the world's most powerful law enforcement agency. I went undercover, I trailed terrorists, and I interviewed notorious killers. It's my job to understand the people who others cannot comprehend. Alex, tell me about what your life was like as a young girl.
I grew up in Jacksonville, and I've been living there ever since. And my parents got divorced when I was 5, which was pretty hard on me. And
You remember that?
I remember my mom throwing a plate at my dad's head. Other than that, my mom was happier without being with him.
Okay. If you could pick 1 or 2 words to characterize your childhood, what word would you pick?
Strenuous.
So you don't recall having a happy childhood or carefree?
No, never.
Strenuous.
Yeah.
What contributed to that the most?
My mother. My mom was bipolar, severely bipolar. When she was at her low, which was pretty often, she would try to kill herself. And she did try to commit suicide a couple times and was admitted to a psychiatric hospital for the fact that her lows got so low. I felt like I had to be the parent sometimes because I had to put my foot down and tell her, hey, you've got responsibilities. You can't do this.
Mm-hmm. For a young girl, teenager, to have that enormous responsibility of taking care of someone that wants to kill themselves, what was it like for you?
It was hard because I would always ask her, well, you have me, why would you want to kill yourself? You always tell me you love me so much that you would do anything for me. And when I would tell her, I said to them, if you want to do anything for me in this life, if it be anything at all, then live for me.
Not only does teenage Alex have to deal with these suicide attempts, her mother spends time in prison for robbery before she finally dies from heart disease.
She died on St. Patrick's Day, and the next day I found her, but I didn't fully want to comprehend it. And the only reason I know she died the day before was the phone was dead, and rigor mortis had set in, and the TV was on from the night before.
What did it do to you?
It shattered me. It broke me. It broke.
Tell me how you coped.
I have never coped with it.
You've never gotten over it. Growing up with an untreated bipolar mother, then finding her dead body is a pretty bad start in life. This set Alex up for a fall into a very dangerous place. Alexandra Tobias is serving 50 years in prison for the murder of her 3-month-old son, Dylan. She met Dylan's father, EJ, in 2008. Alex was 18 and had just graduated from high school when EJ caught her eye. What was the draw? What did you see in him that you liked?
He was playing the guitar.
That was it?
He had his shirt off, and something about his little bad boy persona really got me.
What was different about him, though, that you really were drawn to him?
I think it was the challenge, because he didn't want a girlfriend.
Uh-huh.
And I knew the way he looked at me, and at that time I was still trying to find myself too. And I don't know, I just fell for him.
After her mother passes away, Alex moves in with EJ and his mom. Alex says she's hooked on her new man, and soon after, she gets pregnant. What did that mean to you?
It was great.
You were happy?
Oh, I was thrilled. I was thrilled. I was scared more than anything.
Having children can be daunting for anyone, and Alex says EJ was hesitant. So, without saying it, it sounds like you're saying you knew he did not want a child. Is that right?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, he was very young. Of course, he didn't want a child.
Okay.
At all.
Despite some apprehension, little Dylan arrives on October 16th, 2009. Like many first-time parents, Alex struggles with the demands of motherhood. She never sought help, but I strongly suspect she was suffering from postpartum depression. When Dylan is just 8 weeks old, Alex tries to leave her boyfriend. It ends in a fight. Police are called, and both parents are arrested for domestic violence. You're a young woman. You're under a lot of stress. Your relationship is not going well. Worse than not going well. And you have a little baby crying almost 24/7. What was motherhood like for you?
It was beautiful. I couldn't get enough of him. I didn't want people touching him. I didn't want them to break him. I didn't want nobody to do anything to him. I cherished him even before he was born. His cries were like music. They weren't really sad to me because that was him. That's his way of communicating. And I loved every minute I spent with him. And I'm glad because I'm the only one that spent so much time with him.
It's understandable that Alex is clinging on to the few positive memories she has of her son. Why on earth did baby Dylan die? No parent wants to outlive their child. But how do you cope when you are responsible for your child's death? Alexandra Tobias was found guilty of murdering her 3-month-old son, Dylan. She will be 70 before she's due for release in 2059. Tell me about the day Dylan died.
The night before, I had contemplated suicide.
Why?
I was severely depressed. My son was always upset, and he was sick. And I hated the fact that every time EJ would walk in that house or walk in the room, Dylan would cry.
What did you think was going to happen to Dylan if you killed yourself?
that there would never be any more arguments between me and his father.
You were willing to die and leave him with his father?
Because I was tired of hurting I was tired of hurting on the inside for myself, as opposed to he was a newborn. He could, you know, granted I wouldn't be there, but still, I was tired of being in that equation of hurting him.
But the next day after that, you didn't die. Dylan did. What happened?
I honestly can't recall the actual incident itself, but when it comes down to it, I had taken a good handful of some Xanax.
Xanax, which is a mild sedative.
Yes.
It can be more than mild if you take a lot. A high dose of Xanax will heavily sedate you and can cause loss of memory. It's a prescription drug that is frequently abused in the United States.
So I got Dylan up, got him ready at 8:30, got on the computer. Shortly after that is when
I got on the computer to do what?
I was on Facebook. I got on Facebook to play on Fishville. Dylan was fine or whatever, and I got off the computer, took my pit bull outside, let him go to the bathroom, whatever. And when, like, the next thing was more clear, was the fact that he wasn't breathing in my arms anymore.
Okay. You're on the computer, you let the dog out.
And I'm in the living room.
And what happened? Do you not remember? Okay. Anything? You remember nothing?
I remember him not breathing. That's the only thing I can remember.
Evidence in court showed Alex's baby had a fractured leg, bruising on the skull, and bleeding on the brain. Her son had been violently shaken and dropped. So then how did you become aware he wasn't breathing?
Because I guess I came to and realized that something wasn't right. I didn't know what it was in my arms.
And you realized he wasn't breathing, and?
I realized that something that I was holding before that was moving was no longer moving.
What did you do?
I panicked.
And?
I called EJ. And then 10 seconds later, I called 911.
What is the address?
He's not breathing.
All right, listen, we're going to get help on the way, okay? All right, how old is the person you're calling for?
He's my son. He's 14 weeks old. He's not breathing.
Performed CPR on him. And didn't know what was wrong with him.
Can you hear or feel any breathing?
He just gasped for air. He's got his mouth open right now. Oh, baby, come on. Oh, Dylan.
All right, ma'am, help will be there shortly, okay?
How long did it take for the paramedics to get there?
I don't know.
You don't remember any of this? What was the final determination?
Abusive head trauma.
Was the term shaken baby syndrome a part of this evaluation?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you remember shaking Dylan? Do you remember hitting his head?
No.
I wonder if Alex is telling me the whole truth. Or is it just too difficult? The headlines billed her as a Facebook killer, a young mom who murdered her baby so she could play an online game. But in the flesh, Alex Tobias is telling me a much more complex and disturbing story. When were you told that Dylan had died and it was a result of you?
Wasn't really told that it was a result of me, but they had told me the next day when he had died on January 20th. I didn't come to terms with that it was actually me up until a couple of years ago.
A couple of years ago. Had you already been sent to prison for this? Tell me about when you had that realization.
I had that realization when I met my niece.
Your niece.
Yeah.
And how did one turn into the other?
She opened my eyes to the life that I took and the choice that I took to take drugs that day. The choice I chose to do drugs instead of I didn't choose to be the mother. I chose to do drugs as opposed to choosing to be the mother I should have. And when I seen my sister with my niece, broke my heart. Still breaks my heart. But she's so good with her, and I know I would be like that with my son, but
Must be hard.
something I have to live with for the rest of my life. And I'm made aware of that every day.
Can't run from it. Can't bury it.
I don't need to run from it anymore. I need to face it.
What have you come up with that's helped you deal with it?
Self-mutilation.
Tell me about that. Why do you do that? You're talking about cutting?
Cutting, burning, or any form of pain.
What does that do for you?
It gives me a physical pain as opposed to an emotional pain.
That physical pain, the moment of cutting or the pain from a burn.
It's opening up my heart. It's opening up the wounds that need to be released.
Does it help?
Yeah, it does. But it's something that I have to constantly go through. It's not just sometime, oh, this is how I feel one day, and I'm just gonna do this. I don't want to feel those feelings, so instead of embracing them, I inflict them. Like I hurt somebody, so the way I hurt somebody is the way I'd hurt myself.
So you're punishing yourself, it sounds like.
Very much so.
Do you think you'll ever stop?
No, not right now.
You're not ready to forgive yourself, it sounds like.
How can you be?
Do you think you ever will?
Yeah, eventually maybe. I just, it's not easy to endure, to live with right now.
Self-harm is not a healthy way to deal with your problems. There is help out there. Alex hardly had a role model to follow in a suicidal mother with a serious mental illness. She originally claimed that Dylan's death was an accident. And while she still has trouble admitting the exact details, what she just told me feels like a confession of sorts. Are you responsible for Dylan's death?
Yeah. I take full responsibility for my actions, whether I remember them or not, because it was only me and him that day.
Do you think, given the opportunity, you might ever have another child?
No.
So even if you had the opportunity, you would choose not to?
No, I would not. I would give it to somebody else. I don't ever want to be put in a situation where I feel like that again. I don't want to be put in that situation.
Alex, there's millions of young women watching this interview. If you could give them one piece of advice based on your life, what would it be?
If you feel like you're unstable mentally, physically, whatever it might be, don't ignore it. Don't ignore it. Don't think that you can make it better, because sometimes you need a little extra to help you to seek that help. Because if I would have sought the proper help, my state of mind might not have been where it was at, and my son would have never been put in that predicament. I really, really, really think that's probably the best thing for somebody to do, because otherwise she'll end up where I'm at for a mistake that you'll have to live for the rest of your life.
Some killers look me in the eye and brazenly deny everything.
Thanks for sharing your story. I know that wasn't easy.
Alex Tobias is a different breed. It takes a lot of guts to take responsibility for a crime as severe as hers. This has nothing to do with the so-called evils of gaming or social media. This is an isolated, suicidal young mother suffering postpartum depression, a very dangerous condition affecting 15% of new mothers in America. There are other mothers like Alex out there. If we miss the real story, we are doomed to repeat it.